Yo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Grumpy Old Soldiers. How's everybody doing?
Hey, we're doing.
It's the best show where you can be grumpy and not care.
Yeah,
I don't care anywhere. So it doesn't matter.
yeah.
I just want to say hi to Cheryl. I haven't seen her in a few days. Brian, I haven't seen you in a while. Well, no, I guess maybe last week you were there. And of course, we got our regular night Clover. I don't know what kind of sick stuff he's up to tonight, but somebody's gonna bleed.
Somebody's gonna bleed.
Somebody's gonna bleed.
But there will be ice cream.
There.
But
Yeah.
there will be ice cream afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But only the winners get sprinkles.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, that means you're not getting any sprinkles, Dylan.
Shut it, JT.
Mm. So, how are you doing tonight, Dylan? How you been? How's work? How's your dad?
It is a mother.
Have you had a hernia operation lately or anything? Or
No, but I had a colonoscopy from my father.
Okay.
Wasn't. That's why I sound like I'm dying.
ah,
Whoa.
he stick his foot up your ass.
Did he say what I think he said?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
You got
He asked
okay.
all this.
Okay.
Easy, Jim. You're going to hurt yourself trying to get
Hey, Nick. I've had one. I wouldn't let my dad do it.
Yeah, but he said it hurt his mouth.
Oh,
Hey, whoa, hey. Don't cross the line, you son of a bitch.
You said it.
No, I didn't. You crossed the line there, buddy.
so how are you doing, JT?
I'm doing all right. I've got about as much Christmas spirit as I can handle.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's about it. Wait until the last minute to get everything we were going to have for our Christmas dinner, and
Yeah.
but the bills are paid,
Good.
so
That's always nice. So how are you doing, Jim?
I'm breaking better than even, so
Cool.
had a good week so far.
Cool.
Christmas is coming.
Yep.
We went out and did some shopping yesterday. What a mistake. People
Yeah.
suck.
well,
Yeah.
that's all the time, though.
But no fist fights. I was kind of bumming. They had just opened a brand new pizza spot. And I guess they were giving away free slices yesterday. And the time we were there, that fucking line was around the building.
Jeez.
Wow.
So I didn't get my free slice.
Mm.
But I'm gonna have to go over and check them out.
Dylan, what are you vaping on tonight?
RB Slim with the T to X. That has Stevie Marquez walked the plank in that. Big brother,
Hi,
what are you vaping on?
this. It's just Centaurus with my Blaze RDA on it. And that new one that from Mike, the Dual, that looks cool.
Yeah, I like it.
I've got the Blaze RTA on the what's that one? The Guap. And of course, gotta have the Cthulhu. And that's got one of them's got bondage and the other one's got the banana leaf in it. JT.
Let's start over here. We got the intake MTL on top of the what the hell was this one? The Anakin Z6. Oh, Z60. I ought to look at the words on it. Help me understand.
You know what words do?
They scare me.
What kind of magic is this?
I got the recoil on top of the Pulse V2 with some lemon nom.
Mm.
Nom.
I just love that one. And of course, we got the Anakin's running real low on the last of the Cubano I got from Brett on top of the Ursa miner. And for Brother George, I'm still running the Zeus 25 on top of the Smoke Mag, and it's got melange. I've got a little menthol and some tobacco and some custard and trying to clean that up. What are you vaping on, Chuck?
I've got the Odin with the faux Bravo RTA on top. And I got a Pulse AIO 0.5 and the second one. There's the 0.5. And I just have my own juices in those. And I've got, I can't remember which stubby this is. It's the older one with the tall boy in
The
it.
green one.
Yeah, it's the green one, Green Goblin.
That a
That's what Kelly
13
just said.
millimeter,
I don't know.
a 13 milliliter
Ed.
tank.
Hey, Ed.
You know what, Ed? Shout out to Ron Jeremy for listening but not being in the chat.
Then he don't count. We don't say hi to Dave if Dave's not here.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
besides,
Dave's not
he
here,
needs to Pay
man.
us for babysitting. It's the time of the month again.
Continue, Chuck. I'm sorry I really
No,
interrupted
that was
you.
that was it. I was done. Now I've got to. So I guess everybody noticed in chat. I'm able to stream to more than one service now, and I've got all the software and everything I need to do that. If anybody has any recommendations on where else I should stream, that'd be nice. It's in the chat. Let's see.
Because the only other one I could think of, people are doing live chats on X,
Oh yeah,
but it's more like radio style. I've seen people do live on there.
we're not too different from radio style. Not really.
It's Friday the 13th.
No, a little bit of structure. You could make a show of it. I mean,
Yeah.
And I'm not sticking my finger in my ear.
Oh man.
but you have to.
Let's see if I've got the buttons working. Okay.
Oh shit! Here we go. He's pressing buttons.
The button, the shiny red
Oops.
button.
Hang on. I noticed I didn't click share sound when I did that. There we go.
Oh, okay. Shoot. I was gonna say you don't click and go uh-oh, because that's when you show pictures you don't want seen.
Yeah.
It's Friday
Yeah,
the 13th.
remember
It's time
Dylan's
for
in the room.
Yeah.
something scary. Recall is back. Microsoft Recall is still screenshotting credit card numbers, social security numbers, and other sensitive information. Find the article and read it for yourself. I'll include the link in the description. No one wants this.
No.
I keep telling you, everyone keeps telling you, no one wants this. Just abandon it and make it go away. But let's discuss the stupidity that you have. So Recall is now made it back into the insider builds for people to preview, and they promise to filter social security numbers and credit card numbers, and they won't do all this. But guess what? It still does. It still does.
So yeah, big company says, "Oh, we promise we're not going to get your social security numbers." Bullshit.
Just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip.
You can even label it saying, "This is my credit card, please don't record it." And it does anyways. So Microsoft, please stop with this crap. No one wants it. It's a giant security risk. And, you know, if you start actually putting this into production, I wholeheartedly suspect that you are just going to be sued into oblivion. Just Just save yourself the headache now. Again, as I've suggested, maybe go make system restore a little more frequent. So,
Yeah.
maybe that's where the recording takes place, like every couple of hours. But no, not actual live screenshots. That's the stupidest thing in the world, encrypted or not. I mean, honestly, I really don't know what kind of stuff they're smoking over at Microsoft, but that needs to stop. And my thing is you put it out in the public like this, uh, again, you're probably going to be sued into oblivion. Anywho, it is Friday the 13th, and we are offering our Friday the 13th discount special like we do every Friday the 13th, where we take 13% off of your invoice. If you drop off a PC for service,
Well, that's the rest is just his ad for his service. So let me stop the share here. There we go. So yeah, recall, wonderful, fucking great.
Great. But I just naturally assume that anything I type on this computer is going to be in somebody else's hands in 10 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, the latest. Well, you got to remember, every chip is built in with a back door for them to go ahead and get into your system. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It is.
So that's why I try to keep my commerce on the interwebs down as much as possible, you know? But that means you have to go out and people and shit. And
well, that's it. You either got to go people or you got to trust the interweb.
And right now, there's too many things on the interwebs that we really shouldn't be trusting, you know?
News channels and reporters.
It should be a toy, like it was meant to be.
Library.
A library, a toy. I bought my computer as a toy. I look things up. It takes, like you said, the library. Okay, it takes up, the Encyclopedia Britannica. Dylan's probably going, huh? What's that? I mean, you don't hear about that shit.
Papers in them.
Yeah. I mean, you had to do a report in school. You didn't get 15, 20 different sources and, page after page. You got a paragraph. The aardvark is a furry little critter that eats ants. Okay.
Yep.
Now I got to draw a 5-page report out of this.
Well, it was also a nice place to keep all your music. If you're into that.
Yeah.
Photos.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. It is a nice storage device.
But it shouldn't be as intrusive as Microsoft's trying to make it with fucking taking over your camera. Google did that years ago, and they got in trouble for it.
Well, but did you forget about SETI?
SETI?
Yeah, you let them use power off your, not power, but memory off your computer to help run their systems.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot about that one. Here we go.
Disclaimer: the comments made in this video are intended solely for entertainment purposes and are not intended to harm or offend anyone. News channels and reporters have sold their souls, turning journalism into a platform for biased agendas. They push emotions over facts, dismiss opposing views, and double down when challenged. But what happens when their carefully crafted stories are met with unshakable logic and undeniable truths? Before we start the video, nearly 98% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. My Christmas wish is to hit 100K subscribers before the year ends. If you want to fight this woke culture, make sure you're subscribed. These are 10 times.
I just found this Veracity YouTube page today, and this video is really good, so I'm going to try and sample them in the future too.
When disrespectful woke reporters got owned instantly, starting with the time when Pierre Poilievre faced a reporter's tough questions. The reporter tried to corner him with a barrage of pointed accusations, but with sharp wit and undeniable facts, Pierre turned the tables, leaving the reporter scrambling to recover.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological thing.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways, a lot of people
don't really believe in that.
Okay. a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
like who?
I don't know who, but
well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
I must know somebody.
Okay, I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given, you know, not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
what are you
also
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me the page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically, in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this. I mean, you make quite a, you know, it's quite a play that you make on it. So I'm
not
just
sure.
wondering.
I don't know what your question is.
Then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense. Okay. Common sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government.
Quickly became clear that the reporter had done no research about Poilievre before coming to the interview. Poilievre did not get mad or throw insults at this man. The questions were dismantled quickly and clearly with no hesitation, and he did it all while casually munching on an apple. Now that's impressive, but while Pierre was calm, the same can't be said about Vivek Ramaswamy. Because when a reporter tried to frame him up with her stupid question, Vivek didn't hold back. His response was bold, unapologetic, and downright epic, something that'll make you love him even more.
I'm not going to recite some catechism for you. I'm against vicious racial discrimination in this country, so I'm not pledging allegiance to your new religion of modern wokeism, which absolutely fits the test. I'm not going to bend the knee to your religion. I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to bend the knee to mine, and I'm not going to bend the knee to yours. But do I condemn vicious racial discrimination? Yes, I do. Am I going to play your silly game of gotcha? No, I'm not. And frankly, this is why people have lost trust. And I know you're going to go print the headline tomorrow. I already know this. We already know how your game works. Vivek Ramaswamy refuses to condemn white supremacy because you asked a stupid question. The reality is, I condemn vicious racial discrimination in this country, but the kind of vicious and systematic racial discrimination we see today is discrimination on the basis of race in a very different direction. You want to know what the best way is to end discrimination on the basis of race? Stop discriminating on the basis of race.
Yeah.
Do that.
No way.
And I don't care whether you're black or white or brown or anything in between. That's how we're going to unite this country. You people have been responsible for dividing this country to a breaking point, creating a projection of national division. I meet people from the south side of Chicago to meetings like this one of every shade of melanin, multiple, from man to woman, doesn't make a difference, who are hungry for reviving unity in this country. And you, with your catechism that you try to get to politicians to whatever fake headline you're going to print on the basis of this conversation tomorrow, that's what's dividing this country to a breaking point. Shame on you.
The press deserves much of the blame for the social and political divide in this country, often spreading misleading narratives to fit their agenda. That's why it's so satisfying to watch someone like Vivek Ramaswamy stand up and push back against the nonsense of a woke culture with confidence and clarity. For years, the media has twisted stories and misled millions, but they can't get away with it forever, and sooner or later they had to face the consequences.
Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for...
I just answered your question.
What is the answer?
He was not found guilty in a criminal court of law. It was abuse. It wasn't actually rape, by the way. And E. Jean Carroll joked about all the money she's going to get and made a mockery out of this case. And I think that's offensive. There's a reason why women don't come forward. And when you have someone who says that and they make a mockery out of this civil court judgment, it's offensive to other women. It makes it harder for other women to come forward when another woman has made a mockery of it.
You said women don't come forward because they are afraid. They are afraid
they're
because
judged
they're
and shamed,
by those
like you're trying to shame me this morning.
They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the... That's what Donald Trump has been found guilty of doing.
He defended himself over that and denies that it ever happened, but he was not found guilty in a criminal court of law.
They made a huge mistake targeting Donald Trump because right after the interview went live, he filed a defamation lawsuit against ABC News. Fast forward to today, the case was finally closed and ABC News was hit with a massive $15 million settlement to resolve the defamation lawsuit, while George Stephanopoulos was forced to issue a public apology.
Good.
Clown media has been trying to take down Trump for years, but they failed miserably every single time. Like in 2016, when a woke reporter took Trump's older statements, twisted and cut them up to try and frame him. But once again, Trump turned the tables, exposing their tactics.
Mr. Trump, a group of national and Iowa pro-life leaders was circulating a letter that says anyone but Trump. Effectively, they say you can't be trusted as a pro-life advocate.
Well, that's okay. I mean, that's their opinion. Look, I'm pro-life, but that's their opinion. And if they want to do that, hey, all I can tell you is this. As you know, I'm pro-life. I've been pro-life for a long time.
In 1999, you said you were pro-choice and all.
And I said, what did I say? You didn't read it. Read the full statement of what I said. Read the full statement. No, you're not reading the full statement. Go ahead, get out the full statement. Read it.
Sorry about the video here.
I remember Tim Russett very well. He was a friend of mine. He was a good man. No, but read the full statement. Okay.
Damn it, Dylan.
Look, they have their choice. They can do what they have to do. I'm pro-life. They can do what they have to do. There'll be many people that will be voting for me. That I can tell you.
Trump, there are some Ted Cruz, some By the full soundbite from Tim Russert, you said him was, I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of the.
Correct. Why didn't you read that? By the way, why didn't you read that before? No, but why didn't you read that before? You didn't read, I hate the concept of a. Excuse me. Very trustworthy. More so than you. Because you know what? You didn't read the question. See, when you quoted Tim Russett, you didn't read what you just said. Read it again. No, read it again. Go ahead.
Pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion.
Okay, you didn't read. Why didn't you say, and when you asked the question before, that I hate the concept of abortion? No. You were quoting Tim Russert, and you were quoting, you were quoting Tim, and you were quoting me. Why didn't you read my quote the way I said it?
I tried to pull it up, and I didn't have Wi-Fi.
Well, then you got to get Wi-Fi, okay? Don't ask me questions like that. You're not a very good reporter doing that. Okay, go ahead. No, I said, with CNN, I said, I think you should give money to the vets. And I've always said that. Wounded warriors and vets. I think you should give money to the vets. You have a question that now is a legitimate question? Do you apologize? No, do you apologize? Yeah.
For reading your words?
For not reading my words. No. For not reading my words. No, do you apologize for not reading my words? Excuse me, do you apologize for not reading my exact words? No. I didn't ask that. I didn't ask that. Excuse me. You quoted me, and you took out the main part of the quote. I'm just asking, do you apologize?
You hate abortion.
Okay, forget you. Just forget it. Go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
The complete lack of remorse shows that these media figures are deliberately pushing an agenda. Another time this happened was again on ABC News when Jonathan Karl tried to trap Trump by grilling Republican Senator Tom Cotton over Trump's pro-life abortion stance. Once again, they attempted to manipulate the narrative, but it only backfired.
So speaking of radical changes of heart, I want to ask you about what Donald Trump had to say just a couple of days ago. He said, and this is an exact quote statement he put out, "My administration will be great for women and their reproductive rights." Is he now going to be campaigning on abortion rights? What's going on here?
He will be great for women. He was great for women. Women had great opportunities under Donald Trump. You had a healthy, growing economy. You had safe communities, and you had.
But I'm asking you about reproductive rights.
Well, look, Democrats can use phrases like reproductive rights all they want to describe their pro-abortion position, which would force Americans to pay with tax dollars for abortion up to the moment of birth. That's the Democratic position.
I mean,
they can use that phrase if they want to. They don't get a monopoly. They don't get a monopoly on the language to cover up their radical positions.
But I just asked you, it's now Trump using those words.
But he's
reproductive rights. And he's also said, we also heard from J.D. Vance, that he would veto a national abortion ban, and he came out against using the Comstock Act to prevent the shipping of the abortion pill. So what is happening? I mean, in fact, he said just the other day, he suggested that he may support the amendment on the ballot in Florida to provide a constitutional right to an abortion. I mean, what is happening with Trump on abortion?
So, John, I think you just made a very important point. The only candidate here proposing a national abortion law is Kamala Harris. And we know what that law looks like because congressional Democrats have voted on it. It would require taxpayer funding for abortion up to the moment of birth.
That's not their law. They want to codify Roe v. Wade.
No, that's not at all. That's what they say about their law, John.
I'm asking you about Donald Trump, though.
So first off,
you have a solid pro-life record for as long as you've been in public office. What do you make of what he is saying now, saying he is going to be protecting reproductive freedom, and then he could even support a constitutional amendment in Florida,
first off,
legalizing abortion?
I voted on the law. You didn't. It does not codify Roe. It goes far beyond what Roe says. It would provide taxpayer funding for abortion up to the moment of birth. Donald Trump has been consistent. He said that Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided Before Roe v. Wade, this question was largely regulated by the states. Now that Roe v. Wade has been reversed, it will be again largely regulated by the states. Kamala Harris is the one that proposes the radical national abortion law.
Did you notice how Jonathan interrupted every time Tom Cotton mentioned the Democrats? The bias in Carl's line of questioning couldn't be more obvious. They're constantly defending Kamala and shoving political virtue, signaling down our throats. It's refreshing to see it all get dismantled. But what happens when a woke interviewer tries to trap a comedian? Well, it's a conversation you've got to see. Because when BuzzFeed invited Jerry Seinfeld for an interview, things were going smoothly, until the woke host asked Jerry why he mostly invites white guests. The host seemed to be pushing a narrative, but how Jerry responded was far from what the host expected, completely shutting down the attempt.
This is good.
I have noticed that most of the guests are mostly white males. Of 22 episodes.
Yeah,
that
let's
had.
get into that.
No, but you
take a look over here, Peter. What do you see? A lot of whiteys. What's going on here? Oh, this really pisses me off. But go ahead. Really pisses me off. People think it's the census or something. I mean, this has got to represent the actual pie chart of America. Who cares? It's just funny. You know, funny is the world that I live in. You're funny, I'm interested. You're not funny, I'm not interested. Okay. And I have no interest in gender or race or anything like that, but everyone else is kind of with their little calculating, is this the exact right mix? You know, I think that's, to me, it's anti-comedy.
Jerry did exactly the right thing. He belittled and mocked the host. This is how you deal with these clowns. It's a perfect example of how making a problem out of nothing only backfires. Jerry's response exposed the absurdity of trying to turn a comedy show into a race issue. These woke reporters have now reached a level of absurdity that's impossible to ignore, and nowhere is this more evident than in the interview where Joy Reid speaks with Tiffany Justice.
The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's approached by his adult family member. So you have Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer.
Now, it gets hard to pay attention to because they have to bleep so many words. It's almost impossible to understand what she's saying. But man, Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, well, you see what the whole point was.
Yep.
People were actually standing their ground and pushing back.
Yep. Jerry did it an excellent job. Man, I wish I could do that. I hope I do if I get that chance. Yeah.
We got to thank President Trump for it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody saw it until after he had been doing it for years.
Yep. Let's try that again. There we go. Oh.
This is what happens when you wake up.
Okay. Let's see how to do this. Press this button. And this. And then do that.
This is what happens when you wake up and see the light.
And I've also learned one thing about Donald Trump supporters and Republicans in general. See, it used to be, I thought they were intolerant. I thought they were the ones who were racist and closed-minded.
Nope.
But it turns out it was the other way around. Because when I was in 2016 voting for Hillary Clinton, I was working in a small office then. The majority of the people I was working with were Republican. They had no problem with me saying that I was supporting Hillary Clinton. Not one of those people treated me any differently because I thought differently than them. But the minute you turn away from that, I don't agree with what the Democratic Party is doing anymore. I don't stand for that anymore. The minute you do that, the Democrats have a problem with it. But they're the ones preaching tolerance. They're the ones preaching acceptance. They're the ones talking about the hatred on the other side, when really the hatred is on their side.
Yep.
I love everybody. Creators, how you enjoy
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, I hate to see them wake up so late, but at least they woke up.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of Democrats saying that even before the election. Somebody saying something about protests there's going to be a protest on inauguration day or something.
Yeah, they want to block the inauguration and.
Yeah, it's the same people that tried it in 2016.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, they said it out loud, so we're not going to let that happen.
But I want to know why that's not an insurrection. Because
Oh,
that
yeah.
is actually, well, no, without weapons, it's not really an insurrection. You have to overthrow and take the government.
But
Yeah.
remember, we do have a right to protest.
Yes.
Peacefully protest, but you cannot infringe on the rights of others to do it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Meaning you cannot go and block a highway.
Yep.
But you can draw a permit to go to the public park.
Yep.
And I tell you, I'd have a whole lot more respect for you if that's what you did.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, this one looks good.
Hey, Nathan.
Let's see.
Probably been here a while. I'm just now noticing.
Tomorrow's show. And now we've got to talk about Blue Sky, the new left-wing Twitter alternative, a social media platform that many progressives have flocked to after abandoning Elon's Twitter because they hate him so much, because some absolutely unhinged stuff is going on over on that platform right now. They are targeting and harassing and threatening and trying to get banned from the site a mainstream liberal journalist and Kamala voter who dared to, at times, critically report on the science around transgender issues in a way that activists don't like. The reporter in question is Jesse Singal, the host of the Black Then Reported podcast, which I actually guest hosted an episode of and am a huge fan of. And he's a smart, liberal, mainstream journalism guy who reports on trans issues and trans science in a way that is honest, right? It points out that there's no good data justifying this stuff for kids, the medical transitions, and very, very limited data for adults, and they hate him for it. They attack him viciously, and this isn't new, but he tried to join Blue Sky because he, as a liberal, thinks Twitter has gotten too right-wing and doesn't want to be in an echo chamber, so he tried to join Blue Sky, and all hell broke loose. So when Jesse first joined Blue Sky, almost immediately he became the most blocked person on the website, which I find hilarious. Of course, second on the list was Brianna Wu, who had just hosted for an interview on this show, who is a moderate transgender Democrat. It's like they're blocking people from their own side. These are not right-wing people. These are not conservatives or Republicans. But they're mass blocking liberals who sometimes critique their own side in an interest of wanting to promote a better option. Again, so crazy. But that didn't bother me so much, because part of free speech is having the ability to say what you think and express yourself, but also to block people and not listen to them. Like if someone blocks me, they're not violating my free speech. I'm still free to express myself online. They just have chosen not to listen. That's valid. That's their right. I think they're a little intolerant, a little close-minded, but you know what? Block away to your heart's desire. That doesn't bother me so much. What does bother me, though, is the insane change.org petition that the Blue Sky progressives have been circulating with more than 25,000 signatures now, trying to get Jesse banned from the website because they don't like his reporting, and spreading some nasty lies about him in the process. This petition demands that Blue Sky block Jesse and supposedly enforce its community guidelines, which they are incorrectly claiming he has violated. Many Blue Sky users circulated the petition and indicated their support for banning Jesse by basically arguing that his presence on the website makes trans people unsafe somehow. For example, a left-wing account called The Surfs tweeted, "I'd rather every trans person on here feel safe than Jesse Singal feel like he's right." This, of course, makes no sense and is actually kind of condescending towards trans people, as if they're fragile infants who need to be coddled and sheltered from ideas or arguments or information that might not align with their viewpoints. That's not actually true, at least not the mentally.
Well, anyway, you get the point. They're still blocking their own and kicking their own out.
Yeah, but from what I hear, that Blue Sky looks like a Jeffrey Epstein flight list.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
the
doubt
old
it.
boy that does the hooking up to the pedos on the YouTubes
Mhm.
and films it all.
Yeah.
Well, he went over there to Blue Sky and was running some of that, and he said he's had like 3 different court cases he was supposed to show up to, all sorts of shit there at Blue Sky. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a pedo hangout.
Yeah. Yeah. I went a few days ago and created an account there to see if I could find anybody I knew. I looked for the most liberal people I know, and I couldn't find any of them. So
Yeah, they probably come up with a surname or something different, went on to X to stay informed.
Yeah.
Because what is it? X is still the #1 news source right now.
Yeah.
In the world.
We are now.
Yep. Twitter's one of them too, but it's about to be banned. So on the 19th.
TikTok.
I'm sorry, TikTok. Thank you. I just said X again, so I meant to say TikTok.
It's okay, Chuck. We know you pretty good. We got you, brother.
Okay.
Nearly a month away from a possible, my kids were asking me, is it going to go away? A possible nationwide ban on TikTok.
And that's why Fox 5 legal analyst Wendy Patrick is here to talk about the details. So there's stuff that happened this week as far as what was going on with this TikTok ban. And I know that there are millions and millions of users that are wondering, is this going to happen? Are we going to get this completely taken away? So what happened so far?
This is a huge story, Heather, because remember, this legislation was originally passed and signed into law earlier this year. And what did everybody say? Remember, we commented on this. What did everybody say? Oh, it's a free speech issue. It's never going anywhere. It'll be blocked by the courts. No, it wasn't. It was upheld last week by the appellate court. And now all of a sudden, the sense of imminency is real. Because think about it. It's about, you talk 12 days till Christmas. Almost a little over a month before the ban of TikTok in the U.S., unless, for example, the Supreme Court were to intervene, obviously at the request of TikTok, President Biden were to grant a stay. And what's the significance of the 19th of January, by the way? What happens the very next day?
Inauguration Day.
The inauguration!
I mean, is that a coincidence?
Well, then that's interesting because this January 19th date was set a long time ago. But you could argue a stay would at the very least allow President Trump to make good on his promise to save TikTok. Now, we all remember he wanted to abolish it in 2020, changed his mind. Lots of politicians changed their mind. But if he were to try to do that, you would hope there'd be some kind of a stay that would at the very least allow the Supreme Court to look at it. Or grant what
would they look at, the Supreme Court, exactly here?
Well, they're going to look at the legality of the balance. Remember, the danger was the Chinese ownership. Right. So it comes down to Chinese ownership. There was a danger that the administration said, well, you know, it's sensitive data that belong to the 170 million users that could be shared with the Chinese government. It could be used to regulate content. And then what the courts really have to do is say, well, is that concern enough? Is there enough evidence of that concern? Is it real enough to justify regulating free speech? And for the people that use it, for the artists, the content creators, the influencers, everybody that relies on TikTok for art, for politics, for commentary.
Businesses, a lot of them.
They would be out of the game in just over a month.
But wouldn't they find somewhere else to go? Isn't that the wild, wild west of all of this social media, is that at some point, even if this does go away, you're going to find somewhere else to go. And I know that's more, the conversation is that, you know, they're going to all lose this and everybody's crying about it. But in reality, they could find somewhere else to go.
Yes, but not immediately. That's the excellent question that people are asking. And in fact, since last week when this ban went into effect, you've already seen influencers saying, follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube. In other words, hoping for the best but preparing for the worst and allowing their followers to be able to switch platforms. But we all know that's easier said than done. You know, there's been so many other startup platforms that have just fizzled. So if you think about some of the, you know, where are they going to go, they'll probably go to those that are already established, like YouTube, like Instagram. But TikTok is unique. It's unique and it's become ubiquitous. Everybody uses it.
So that's one of the reasons that all of a sudden it's becoming real and it's imminent.
Are there chances that this deadline will get pushed back?
Yes.
And they're talking about, oh, ByteDance going to divest from the TikTok and this and that. They're using all these terms. Is this all about money, or is the concern here really the security of the customers? Because there's a lot of other things that China makes in this country, a lot of compute. Why this?
Like drones. So we've
Right.
been talking
Yeah.
about
Right.
for the last couple of days,
So
drones
are they
in the
just
sky.
finagling and doing things to figure something out money-wise, or is this really something that... Not to be the cynic here, but it's like, come on.
No,
man,
it's a
what's
great
going on
great
here?
question, Raul. And money-wise, you know, first of all, it's easier said than done to find a company or an individual or somebody that's willing to buy this company. And divestment means disconnection. So if there were still an opportunity, as there may be, to use TikTok, you'd be disconnected from the global audience that many influencers depend on.
That's not the point.
That's not the point.
Mhm.
Exactly, Heather. That's not the point. And so yes, there could be an extension. Either the Supreme Court could grant what we call an injunction, which means a delay to push it towards after the inauguration. Not for that purpose, mind you, but in order to give it more time to look at it. Not that they haven't been looking at it already, I'm sure. But I mean, President Biden could delay it a bit, and there also could be an opportunity for some kind of a sale. But if you listen to what the Chinese ByteDance, the parent company, is saying, and if you look at the cost, and if you look at the regulatory nightmare that would be involved if somebody in the U.S. bought it, it's not likely to happen.
So the deadline is January 19th. Inauguration day is January 20th. President-elect Trump invites President Xi of China to his inauguration.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Coincidence?
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean? Is that a message? Is that a
You know, it's interesting. There have
the
been
issue here is with the Chinese government, with
Right,
TikTok, right? But
right.
then you're inviting the president of China to the inauguration. Does that mean that they're going to have a conversation about this in particular?
And what's even more interesting about that correlation, if you will, Raul, is that remember that China is saying there's no evidence that we're taking the user's information from TikTok. Now, of course, you can't prove negative. You can't really prove it either way.
Right. Yeah.
But it is just one more interesting connection. However, remember, this started way earlier this year when a lot of people didn't think that former President Trump is going to be the next president. So it's just an interesting set of facts, but it's also very important to the American economy, as we've been talking about. So you're right, it may be one of many reasons he was invited to the inauguration. Maybe we'll do another segment on whether he's going to accept that and what that's going to look like.
Boy, oh boy.
Interesting times.
We'll have to wait and see, quite literally.
Why people have these podcasts and they talk for 5 hours about stuff like this?
I know, this is why. This is why.
Winnie Patrick.
See, the thing that they kept going at, they were saying, oh, it's free speech. They're going after free speech. No, that's not the whole gist of the thing. It's China owning the company and having the right to all those people's information.
Yeah.
It came down to they couldn't bully China into letting them have a piece of the action.
Yeah.
Hi, Terry.
I don't doubt that. Hey, Terry, how you doing, man?
Hey, Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Sorry, Chuck. I had to throw that out there.
No, thanks. That's cool. Oh, and this isn't going to affect Terry. Terry's the first person I thought of when, but Terry doesn't get any VA benefits. So, disabled veterans are no longer going to have to support or no longer have to report their disability income as income.
Get taxable income.
Right. But that's been affecting them for Section 8 and stuff. And it was pricing them out. They couldn't afford Section 8. But now that's boom. That's out of the picture.
That's a good thing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that's one. How many more things we got to straighten out in the VA?
I don't know, but that's a good place to start. There is
I
so
don't know.
much.
I feel bad because my VA is amazing. Slow sometimes, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I've been around the VA, since the 80s when my dad first started working there. And I've seen them. They've had spurts of times when they were actually taking care of the veterans and shit. And then they got shit people in there.
Yeah. People coming in, justifying their jobs by making the VA run around and jump through hoops and shit.
Yep. then, you know, you had all the ones that Trump had gotten rid of when he was president, and Biden come in and hired them all back. So that doesn't straighten out shit. It makes it worse.
Yep.
You know, I'm sorry, man. Not very many vets that have been in, you know, injured in combat are up there needing to have their, go have an abortion, you know.
Not very many at all. Nope. Let's see here.
I rise today in.
Okay. Here's some of the details on that. Give me a second.
I rise today in strong support of my bill, H.R. 7480, the Disabled Veterans Housing Support Act, and urge my colleagues to join me.
If you have trouble understanding her, have Dylan translate. I think he can do Long Island.
Hey, don't
passing this critical legislation. Our nation's disabled veterans have made extraordinary sacrifices in service to our great country. It is our duty to ensure they receive the respect and support they have earned, especially when it comes to housing. This bipartisan bill addresses a glaring oversight. HUD currently allows multiple different definitions of income to determine eligibility for community development block grant assistance. This inconsistency means a veteran could be disqualified simply because their service-connected disability compensation is counted as income in one definition, but excluded in another.
Oh, I forgot that part.
This is not just a bureaucratic glitch. It denies veterans vital assistance. H.R. 7480 fixes this by requiring VA service-connected disability be excluded from income eligibility calculations. It ensures no veteran is penalized for benefits they earned. This is a common sense bipartisan solution. Let us act today to remove these obstacles and honor our veterans with the dignity they deserve. I thank the bipartisan co-sponsors of this legislation, including Congressman Brad Sherman and the multiple veterans associations that have offered their support, including the American Legion. Again, I urge my colleagues to vote in favor of H.R. 7480.
So, yeah, I forgot about that. There were other ways that it was counting against him. It was counting for him one way, against him another.
Yeah, well, standard bureaucratic bullshit.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh.
I just know Trump doesn't skimp on VA.
Yeah, I
He doesn't
know.
skimp on the military, period.
Good.
Hey, remember, most of his pay as president went to veterans.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
That's true. Wonder if what he's gonna do this time.
The same thing.
Well, instead of 2 years, it took me less than 6 months to get my benefit.
Okay, here we go.
The White House announcing a flurry of 39 pardons on Thursday for Americans convicted of nonviolent crimes.
Decorated military veterans, a nurse who has led response for a number of natural disasters, and an addiction counselor who volunteers his time to help young people. And that's just naming a few.
Never mind.
Among them, people
Oh,
like
okay.
Edwin Allen Jones from Kentucky, who pled guilty to nonviolent drug offenses, but went on to a legal career and now volunteers for addiction recovery groups.
Oh.
President Biden also granting nearly 1,500 commutations for people previously released from prison and placed on home confinement during the coronavirus pandemic. In a statement, President Joe Biden writing, quote, "America was built on the promise of possibility and second chances. As president, I have the great privilege of extending mercy to people who have demonstrated remorse and rehabilitation." Biden has been facing backlash for his decision earlier this month to grant a broad pardon to his son Hunter, who had been prosecuted for gun and tax crimes. The president saying his son was being unfairly prosecuted for political reasons. Biden is also weighing possible preemptive pardons for people who could be targets of retribution once President-elect Donald Trump takes office.
For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail.
Just this past weekend, Trump suggested that members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th riot by supporters should be prosecuted. That includes former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney and the committee's chair, Benny Thompson, who was asked about a possible pardon on Thursday afternoon.
The president is
Yeah. That's some shit.
his prerogative. If he offers it to me or other members of the committee, I think I would accept it.
President-elect Donald Trump, meanwhile, has talked at length about issuing pardons for those that stormed the Capitol on January 6th.
Good.
They were there to stop the certification of President Joe Biden as the winner of the 2020 election. Trump has called many of those that were convicted patriots. Reporting here at the White House, I'm Evan Kozloff, Spectrum News.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel.
Anyway. So, yeah. He's pardoning everybody.
But there's got to be some way that can.
You should have to answer for that.
Yeah.
Why are you pardoning this guy?
Mm-hmm.
You don't tell me because he shows promise and rehabilitation. You don't know him.
Exactly. Well, he's doing it to set a record. He needs some kind of record to walk out of the office with.
Oh, he's doing that already.
Yep.
Well, he made the most mandates when he first got into office of any president.
Yeah. And now he's making the most pardons ever.
Yep. Oh, here's a little something about the FBI director stepping down. 1 second.
The only way he should step down is with a noose around his neck.
Yeah.
FBI Director Christopher Wray is stepping down at the end of the Biden presidency. Wray was actually appointed by Trump in 2017, but Trump has soured on him since. He blamed him for the raid on Mar-a-Lago in 2022. That was part of the investigation into Trump's handling of classified documents. It's not a surprise, probably, that Wray stepped down. Trump has already named a replacement, Kash Patel, someone who has said that he has this enemies list and he's going to take a more forceful approach inside the FBI to possibly go after Trump's enemies. What is the reaction on Capitol Hill? Usually FBI directors stick around for longer than this.
That's right. So going into this week before Wray had said he would be leaving, the reaction we were hearing from the Hill about Kash Patel was basically that Republican senators are going to fall in line. They are going to support this Trump loyalist, somebody who Trump's only brought in order to carry out his vows of retribution in a way that he didn't think Christopher Wray would do that. As you mentioned, Wray was attacked by Trump for this raid on Mar-a-Lago over the unclassified documents. So he wants someone who's 100% going to back him regardless of the situation. And Wray was not that guy. And I think there were people, Republicans that we talked to on Capitol Hill, who supported Wray. When Kash Patel was first named, they were saying this is unprecedented because he still has more years to go in this position, and we like him. We think he answers our questions well when we bring him up to Capitol Hill. He's an honest man doing some hard work. Meanwhile, I think Wray is looking at this as, I don't want to be in a position that I'm constantly fighting with the administration or Trump figures out a way
I was taking it serious until then.
Yeah.
Me out, especially with Patel not getting a ton of pushback on the Hill so far.
A lot of pressure being put on those senators to fall in line with Trump's picks.
Yeah.
Fall in line.
Yeah.
What was it? Are we going to start hearing the stories about the jack boots being polished?
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Last time I checked, it wasn't Donald Trump's people that was acting like the Stasi.
Okay, here's what I was talking about video cards. This guy's got about 45 seconds worth of things, cool things to say. Let's see here.
You're looking at the new price to performance leader in 1440p gaming, the Intel Arc 580.
This is brand new to the market. When they're better at writing the drivers for that piece of equipment, that's going to force it's going to force AMD and NVIDIA to drop their prices.
With 20 Xe cores using the all-new Xe2 architecture, 20 ray tracing units, 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory on a 192-bit bus, and with improved AI gaming tech like frame generation and super sampling with XeSS2.
Don't buy the one that they're showing right now. It's only 8 gigabytes.
All for an MSRP of just $249. Gaming isn't the only thing up its sleeve, though. It excels at AV1 hardware transcoding for your stream or media server, alongside incredible gains in AI applications like large language models, pose estimation, voice recognition, denoising, and more. Get yours at your local Micro Center.
Yeah, the deal with that, there's a problem with the amount of RAM it has built into the card. You need 12 gigabytes on. If you're going to go and spend that much on a video card, pay the extra $50 and get 12 gigabytes because they bottleneck at 8 gigabytes of memory. Anyway, yeah, that one he's holding right there sells for about 200. It's not quite as good as the video card I've got, and I never buy anything brand new best of the line because that only lasts for 15 minutes. So, but the video card I got, Intel has one that compares to it for about $250, and that's brand new. That's a lot. That's going to drive the prices way down. Hey, Jim.
Hi.
Do you have a joke?
This guy decides he wants to be a veterinarian. So he goes to school, and he goes back to his rural hometown and way back in the woods. And business is kind of slow, steady but slow, so he decides he's going to take up a hobby. He decides on taxidermy. Hunting's popular in the area. And then one day he's deciding on a name for his company. And he decides, he says, well, hell, I'm just going to call it Fred Veterinary and Taxidermy. Either way, you get your dog back.
Oh, there it is. There's too much delay in my buttons there. I got to fix that. Well, let's see here. Let me get a link for the chat. Copy to clipboard. And that's the end of the show. Anybody who wants to can join us after the show, and we'll hang out and talk. Thanks, everybody.
They're for America. We're not out of the woods yet.
Yep, always do better.
Hey, and Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Be safe. Have fun.
Right.
Don't cross the line, but go up to it.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. There's not going to be a show on Christmas, so there will be the week after that.
That'll teach you.
Good night, everybody.